Hello and welcome to the Checkpoint Reach podcast. I'm your host, Luke Eldersay. I'm joined by Sud as always, and our special guest, Chris. How you doing, mate?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thanks, mate.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. So I remember I think a couple of months back was my first podcast I watched of you guys, and I just have really enjoyed you guys. It just seemed like, oh, you guys would be like a cool guys to hang out with, and so
Cheers,
love the podcast, and so thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to have you on, and we appreciate the comments and obviously the support. We'd probably be a bit biased and say, yeah, we were all right to hang out with, aren't we? So
I hope so. I mean, I guess you never know, but I think we're all right dudes. So.
Yeah, nice enough.
Okay.
Yeah, man, we really appreciate you coming on, and today.
I appreciate you guys having me. So yeah,
it'll be good. And today we're going to cover some gaming news from the past week, and we're going to start with Cyberpunk 2077 because it's just more and more news, trickling out over the last few days. I mean, last week now when this airs, that we had Alex from the Angry Joe show on, and we were talking about all the bugs and the apology from CD Projekt Red. And then, like a day later, it came out that Sony are actually pulling the digital version of Cyberpunk 2077 off the store. So what do we think of this? Why do you think Sony's gone about it in this way?
Like we were talking about a little bit before the podcast, I really think there's just so many bugs, and I know last week Alex was saying that the 1.04 patch kind of fixed a lot of stuff, and I've heard also from other YouTube channels or other places where I've been reading that it's kind of different for every person on the last-gen console, because I am on the PS4. Playing on that, and I would say that the 1.04 has not really fixed a whole lot. It has fixed a lot of the crashing issues. Previously, it would probably crash between like every 80 minutes or so, whereas now it's probably like once every 3 to 4 hours. So it's better, but it's not. And that kind of does ruin the experience here and there, because like sometimes it'll crash. I'm just like, okay, I'm done playing with this for the day or whatever, and just kind of take a break when I normally would have kept going. But
don't blame you, to be honest. That happens so many times, doesn't it? If a game crashes, it's just like it just takes you completely out, and you think,
especially if you're in the middle of like a cutscene or a story moment. Yeah. But so I think part of it is just like the fact that, you guys discussed it a lot last week, but just there's so many, it's so buggy still, even with the hot patches and stuff. And there's supposed to be another one coming out soon. Well, I guess as we're recording soon, but when this goes live, it will hopefully already be out. But but I think it's just loss of confidence and loss of and then there's this IGN article that they were so they came out and just kind of talking about how Sony took it down off their store, but then CD Projekt Red came out and made a statement saying, and this is again, I'm quoting an IGN article here. The board of CD Projekt Red has commented, says that here it is. The decision was undertaken following our discussion with Sony Interactive Entertainment regarding a full refund for all gamers who had purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via PlayStation Store and wanted a refund at this time. All copies of the game previously purchased digitally on PlayStation Store remain available. Thank goodness, because I would be a little upset if all of a sudden I couldn't play. I'm not going to ask for a refund, because I truly do enjoy the game, even with the bugs. And this store remain available for use by their respective buyers. And then later it's another quote saying gamers can still buy physical versions. And here, this is the important thing. It says Cyberpunk 27 will continue to receive support and update, like the digital and physical copy. So even if you don't get the refund, they're saying that for instance, I'll still get a patch even though it's not. Which I was happy to see that because I was curious when I heard that it was getting taken down. I was a little worried, like, well, since it's not being supported on the store, are they going to allow me to get like a download patch to make the game better? Because that would be a little frustrating if well, okay, now it's not even supported, but they're saying it will be supported. So that was a good note as well.
Yeah, I think to be fair as well, you weren't the only one worried, because I saw a lot of comments on Twitter saying, "Oh, does this mean that like there won't be any patches now on the PS4?" And it's like they did reiterate that isn't the case. That as long as you haven't obviously gone for the refund, you can still get the patches on the physical and digital copy of the game, which is obviously good. That would be pretty bad if Xbox had like 10 patches and PlayStation was like, "Oh, we only had one" or something. So
yeah, that would be horrendous.
But I think we need to make the difference known between the refund part of this and the part where they took it down from the store, because it is two kind of separate things here. So the part with the refund is due to, from Sony's side anyway, probably same on Xbox because obviously in refunds there as well. It's due to the fact that they are technically, according to the terms and conditions, selling a faulty product on the store. Technically, like people could argue, well, you can still play the game. Is it technically faulty? But according to, at the minute, I don't know how they measure it. Who knows how they measure it? Because we've seen how many other games have been terribly buggy in the past and they've got through. So
yeah, Fallout 76 springs straight to mind.
So it's a tough one. But I think the important thing to discern is that's on both. So Xbox and PlayStation are both doing, as we know right now, refunds. However, the big difference I think is that the way Sony and Xbox do the refunds is very different. So the way that Xbox does it's a little bit more lenient. So they're a bit more like, okay, well, for this reason we could. Whereas on Sony's side, they're more like, oh, you can only pretty much do a refund by these exact terms. So, and the problem was CD Projekt Red basically said, oh, if you're on any platform, if it's not, you can get a refund, whatever. And Sony were a bit like, hang on a minute, that's not quite how we operate. So I think what's happened here is they've got a little bit pissed off, to be honest with you, with CD Projekt Red. And they've basically pulled the game because they're like, no, we're not having this. We're pulling the game. Like it's tough. Whereas on the Xbox side, they've obviously got the marketing with Cyberpunk. They're a little bit more friendly, so you can imagine the discussions with Xbox are a bit more cordial. Whereas with PlayStation, there's clearly some friction there now. So, I mean, look, just quick. I don't think this will be forever. Clearly, they're not going to pull the game forever. It's probably going to be for maybe a week, maybe
when it's in a
weeks.
better state, then they're going to put it back on there.
I don't think it'll be.
I think they'll probably wait until the patch comes out in January, and then once that first patch comes out, then they'll probably release it. But Luke, I have a question for you because you've played both Anthem and Cyberpunk, and I wanted to ask if, because I haven't played either Anthem or Fallout 76. Neither one really. I looked at it, and a lot of I had some reservations, and I ended up being correct. So I hadn't played either, but bugginess wise, and I guess Sud, did you or no? Because you haven't played.
I played Fallout 76.
And I guess so I guess for both of you then, like how like those bugs, are they worse or equal as far as, because like I mean this is kind of unprecedented as far as like, I mean, for those two games that were very well known to be very, very buggy, those games didn't get pulled from shelves and so from the digital store. And so I'm just curious, like as far as like how do the bugs stack up against those two games which have been known to have terrible launches as well?
Well, when it comes to, for me anyway, for Cyberpunk compared to Anthem, I didn't put in as many hours into Anthem as I have done to Cyberpunk. That's one distinguishable difference. And also, with Anthem, I just always felt it was empty anyway, so maybe I didn't pick up on as many bugs. I always felt like I was just flying around the map and not really doing much, whereas Cyberpunk, I'm doing a lot of things a lot of times. And then the next thing, I also played Cyberpunk on the Xbox Series S, which is obviously the next gen console. I played Anthem on the OG Xbox One, so massive difference there. And the bugs, really, I didn't have any game breaking bugs. I don't remember having texture pop-ins or anything like that, really. It was just, I had little bugs where I told Sud this, like I finished one mission and Silverhand's talking, he's just like, let her go. Oh, what a woman she is. And she was just stuck going like that, like just jolting around right next to me. And I was like, yeah, what a woman.
I had a mission where it was actually towards the beginning. I won't spoil anything. But it was a storyline mission, and a character was reaching for something. Throughout the game, you're given chips to fill in data or information, and a character was giving me a chip, and instead of giving me a chip, it was their handgun, and so you see them pulling a handgun out of there.
Yeah, Yeah,
and I was just like, oh man.
See,
but that's actually pretty rare. That's the only time I had that. But
see, I only had that a couple of times as well, and I had mainly the one for me was if they had been on their mobile phone for some reason. When they put it down, the next thing it was in their head as they were talking to me.
Oh, really?
But
yeah, no, I
didn't
haven't really
too many
seen
times.
that, but
yeah,
I do have. I mean, 90% of what you see on the internet, I've had it. I've had that, like the slow facial, the character loading. It doesn't happen often, but it happens enough to where when you notice it, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, I bet.
And then the other big one, and then I haven't really had any frame drop issues. It's mainly when I'm driving. Actually, that I haven't had any frame drop issues except for when I'm
that mechanic's awful.
So,
the
driving.
Yeah.
I did you ever drive motorcycles?
Yep.
I felt like it was a little, not much, but a little bit better on the motorcycles.
It was definitely more bearable. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I felt like it was, and so I actually just switched over to motorcycle for most of the game because like I was driving around and kind of like you guys said last week, the first person driving is just
it's horrendous.
Well, and then like back to kind of what I think I was saying earlier when we were talking before the podcast, I had some light. I've had quite a few lighting issues. Occasionally it's too bright or occasionally it's too dark. And when I'm in that first person driving, oh man, it's just, sometimes it gets so dark. I'm like, is there a street there? I can't like, I'm literally squinting at the screen trying to figure out the map says to turn here. And so I just trust. And then like, once I've straightened out, I can see the street, but it's just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I think to be fair, with your point about the comparing of the game launches so with Cyberpunk and other games, I think obviously I mean we played Anthem together, didn't we, Luke, quite a bit. I don't actually remember.
I think you put in more hours than me, to be fair.
Yeah, I played it quite a bit with Perks quite a bit, but I don't remember any bugs really in that game.
Nothing stands out.
It was just a bad game.
Gotcha.
Anthem wasn't about how bad it like launched in terms of bugs. I think Anthem was just because it was
there was just no.
It was empty.
It was an empty game. Fallout 76, on the other hand, totally different experience. I played it not at launch, but I played it fairly close to launch, like maybe a couple of months after, and it was still horrendous in terms of bugs and glitches, and there was so much wrong with the game. Compared to a bad game.
So compared to what you've seen on the internet, sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off. Like compared to what you've seen on the internet, is it like worse or equal or better? Like which one do you think had a worse
I guess it's hard for me because it's really hard for me to say, because if you go online and see all the bugs, you're going to think, oh, this is the most buggiest. Like there's literally a bug every 2 seconds. I'm sure that's not the case when you play, and I'm sure it's
no, but I'd say you get one at least every 20 to 30 minutes. You're probably going to see at least something.
You'll be all right anyway on PS5, really.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't experienced it as much.
Yeah.
But with the PS4, I played. Actually, it's funny. I actually played Fallout 76 on the Xbox One, I think originally. Yeah, I did. I played it originally on the Xbox One, so it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, I've heard people say Cyberpunk's, there's nothing ever been like this before. It's like, that's not true. I mean, there's definitely been a few games that have been awful at launch. I mean, we've played a few that, Fallout 76 is one of the worst. And it's funny, because actually now Fallout 76 is apparently a very good game now.
Really? Okay,
out. Yeah, apparently it's getting more. It's quite. It's actually got a decent player base now as well. Apparently it's pretty good. It's actually got proper NPCs in it. It's got actual quests. There's not as many bugs now. Well, there shouldn't be any bugs now. It's been out for a couple of years, so. But apparently it's a lot better. So.
Do you think as well though the hype for Cyberpunk has basically just ramped this up even more? Like it is very buggy. Don't get me wrong. From what I've seen and people's experiences, I'd be pissed off as well. Completely. But I feel like because it's marketed everywhere and it's so in your face and everyone was so hyped that when their expectations are so high and they get a game that's delivered like that, they're going to be even more angry. So I feel like that's what we're seeing.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think you guys talked about this last week a little bit as far as like, I think they kind of did it to themselves. I mean, eight years of game development. I mean, that's a long time for game. I mean, most developers, are pumping out games like either every other year. I mean, I think with like Assassin's Creed, it's almost every other year, or it's like 2 or 3 years, and then Call of Duty is like one a year, and just I guess for the different studios, it's still every other year between Treyarch and Activision. But I mean, it's just, and then you have like the sports games, it's every year. And so like an 8-year development stuff, like for a game, like, I mean, that's a pretty long time to where expectations, just even coming out and announcing it that far out, I think kind of set expectations really high.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus, I mean, like you were saying, Luke, with the just with the amount of advertising, and I think I heard, either was it you guys last week, I heard somewhere that like half their budget was promotion. Like that's incredible. I mean, and I'm happy they made all that money back, obviously, with the pre-orders and stuff. But I mean,
can I just quickly say though that the stock price is pretty bad at the minute.
I think, what is it, $1 billion?
I think it's like I think it's less now, or at the same stage now as it was just before The Witcher 3 came out. So that shows how bad the stock price has gone.
Well, today's what, Friday? I don't know if prices have opened. I don't know. I haven't seen stock prices on the Polish market yet, but I'm sure it's diving even further now with that, because with the announcement. Because again, we're pre-recording this, so but I'm sure with that announcement from PlayStation, I mean, last week, I'm sure those stock prices are going to just fall even more, because I mean, think about it, they're losing out on probably a third, maybe, I don't know if it's quite a third, but I mean, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, so you're losing out on a third of your income over the holiday, like the biggest spending time during the year. So I mean,
well, that's why I question, when they say like, oh, we've done this in conjunction with Sony. It's like, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. No one believes that. No one believes they've gone, oh, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
You can take the game off the store. We don't want sales. Like, come on. We know that's a Sony decision.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I mean, they're saying whatever they can right now just to save face.
It's just
PR
spin.
Just to
save face, isn't it?
It's like in footy, when a manager gets sacked and it says mutual agreement.
Yeah.
Mutually agreed to part
rubbish.
ways. It's like, okay. Yeah.
It's like, well,
don't believe you, but go on.
So,
yeah.
It will be interesting, though, to see how, man, to be honest, when I think about it, so when you first told me, like, you were getting it for Christmas, I'm not going to play, I'm going to wait, I thought, you're going to miss out. This is before I played it and all the bugs. Now I'm thinking, you played a blinder.
Yeah. Not on purpose.
Yeah.
But
you'll have it on the PS5, so it should run better.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't experience too many bugs on the S, I think you should have equivalent.
I've heard there's still a little bit of crashing issues occasionally on the PS5, but I think you'll be fine. So
I did hear that apparently, there's not as many like graphical issues, but there is quite a few crashing issues if you play for a long time on the PS5.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I'm still locked in my house not really locked in my house. I have freedom to leave, but there's just not a whole lot to do still here. So I'm kind of like, oh, hey, work and free time. So
to be fair, it's not too much different here either. To be fair, at the minute.
Those longer stints tend to happen more these days.
Definitely.
So
but yeah, no. Look, I think I maybe I did luck out a little bit with waiting.
It feels that way, mate.
I mean, I'm still going to expect. I'm still going to expect in a few bugs that it's not going to be smooth running completely, is it? There's still going to be the odd graphical glitch. Like I said, people are probably going to pull out handguns out of their bloody.
Should just be grateful that you can have solid FPS as well.
Yeah, the FPS makes a big
difference. People have 15,
sure.
Well,
as low as 15 is just.
Well,
crazy.
I watched a little bit of the Digital Foundry. They did like a review. It's like apparently like that little graphs where like really it just kept going like juttering like 15, 20 frames per second on the Xbox One and PS1. I was like, wow, this is not.
Well, I think at some point I've gotten down. I don't know if this is. I haven't actually taken like a tester to my PlayStation, but like it's gone black screen before on me when I'm driving, and I'm just like, and I wait for a couple of seconds and it comes back in. I'm just like, well, frame rate drop.
Yeah. It's
but it was just it's madness. So
definitely.
Well, it will be interesting though to see how they claw it back, and how this does play out. I'm sure we'll talk about it even more over the coming months. To be honest, it just seems like a story that's going to keep on going. But let's move on to something that I think all three of us were very happy to see at E3, the Video Game Awards, which was the Mass Effect teaser trailer. It seems like we're getting the Shepard storyline back, or at least his crew.
Yeah.
No, well,
that was Liara, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. That was yes.
It definitely was Liara, 100%. There's no doubt. But there's been loads of theories now that it doesn't mean Shepard's alive. Obviously, Shepard could definitely, be dead. We don't actually know, do we? What happens to Shepard?
But at least we're in the Shepard universe.
We are. However, there's been obviously they're clearly trying. There's been enough now to say that, and some of the directors of the game have been on teasing things on Twitter that it's definitely going to link with Andromeda. 100% linking with Andromeda in some way. And people speculate. If you look very closely at Liara, she looks a lot older. She's got wrinkles.
Yeah, I definitely think
it could be 100 years, 200 years later.
Absolutely. Well, because you remember in the first trilogy, I mean, she was less than 200 years old, wasn't she? Or maybe just over 200?
Yeah. She was young for that race.
No, yeah, very young. And so, because I mean, I remember the whole issue of like her not being a respected archaeologist and whatnot. But yeah, no, I think you're spot on, Seth. I think because I mean, if you remember in Andromeda, there's those messages in a spoiler alert.
Oh yeah,
I know where you're going. Not that we really need to do that for Andromeda, but if you like when you go back into like your father's like Ryder's father's bedroom or chambers or whatever on the Nexus, yes, not Citadel.
Yeah, Nexus, I think. Yeah.
Like because you have those like there's like 3 or 4 messages from Liara, and then eventually there's the whole like reference to the Reaper thing with Shepard and everything, the Reaper incident. And so yeah, I'm curious how they're going to tie that in, because I think I watched somebody break down the trailer, and that there's those 2 galaxies. One is the Milky Way and one is Andromeda. And I was like, oh, that was like, oh, that's really interesting. So but yeah, no, I definitely think it's going to be in the future, because I mean, Liara can be a matriarch at this point, and we can. I mean, that's almost 1,000 years into the future, and so like I mean, a lot can.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't expect Shepard to be back. I just mean like it's going to be in the Shepard universe, so at least we're gonna learn get a bit more backstory to the way 3 ended, I guess.
I think so.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think so. And I think, like you said, there's definitely going to be some sort of, I think there's going to be some sort of flashback sequence for Shepard in the game. Or there's going to be some sort of like, oh, this is how it all went down just after. And then it'll do that thing that it does in games, feels it's like 300 years later or something, won't it? Or, or whatever, because they always do that. But
do you think they'll canonize one of the 3 endings?
I was just going to ask you that.
Haven't people speculated that the destroy ending is kind of that's what it's going to be?
That's kind of what I would hope for, yeah.
Oh, I want it to be destroy.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of obvious with the trailer, isn't it? In a way, because everything's destroyed, everything's there's no even with the messages people have like translated that it kind of means that we've lost all contact, and it's going to be like how has humanity recovered, or how has the galaxy? I guess
recover. Yeah, well, and those mass relays aren't going to be rebuilt quickly, because I mean, I don't know if the Protheans built a small mass relay. I don't know if if I remember correctly, I don't think the galaxy at the time had the capacity to build mass relays, to where I'm curious if they're going to be. I mean, I know in the ending cutscene they showed them like repairing the mass relays and everything. But I'm just curious as far as like maybe we don't get it a couple hundred years, maybe we get it shortly after, and Shepard's just MIA, and then they're like, because I mean, can you imagine the chaos that would be going on throughout the galaxy? Like, I mean, literally the entire military of the galaxy is at Earth.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good point.
I mean, it would literally take them probably months at their FTL, whatever. Again, I'm kind of getting into the lore stuff, but I mean, as far as for a setting, that wouldn't be a bad setting as far as just kind of chaos, and granted that would make it more difficult to kind of explore the whole galaxy again. So
I mean, just quickly, maybe you're right. Maybe the game does kind of start on Earth again, and it's like a rebuilding job. Like this is where the center. Maybe the Earth becomes the center of all the races or something now, because it's like, well, most of the sort of high ups and soldiers they're there, aren't they, at the end of the game? So maybe they have to try and rebuild from Earth and go back outwards again.
Yeah,
I'm really intrigued to see, like Chris brought up, what they do with that ending. Are they going to make one of the endings canon and stuff like that? Because I really want an answer to what happened there. And obviously with Andromeda, there was a bit of a cop-out, in my opinion. Because they didn't even have to touch on it. It's just like, oh well, we're in a different universe.
Well, that's why they did it though, because they wanted to. They were literally running away from their bad decision on the ending on the hey, let's just change the colors. And they were just like, hey, let's just forget that and just move on to something new and not have to worry about the mistakes that we made in the past. And then like my question then kind of also going in on this is, are they going to alter the endings at all? And if they're going to canonize one of the endings, are they going to give you those three options in the remastered version?
Maybe. But it'll be a big. Do you think we'll get some sort of like, when you finish the trilogy or whatever, the remastered trilogy? You think we'll get some sort of like new tease for the new game again? Like when you finish it, like maybe there'll be a little couple of minute trailer.
They could throw something in. They could.
It'd be a nice idea to do, I think.
Yeah,
it would be nice.
I think just quickly as well, I think I do like the fact that they're not ignoring Andromeda.
Mm-hmm.
That they're actually going to try and encompass the two together. Because we said, didn't we, Luke, it'd be a shame if that was it for Andromeda.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I know, like, again, I'm kind of with you two in the minority as far as like I enjoyed Andromeda, but I did feel like the story was a bit copy pasted from like kind of the original Mass Effect, just like with changing the species and everything into a different. I mean, that was fairly similar with how the Reapers kind of turned their own against them.
Well, just quickly, Chris, what was that? What's the thing called in Andromeda? The yellow thing that's in space. What is it called?
Can't remember.
What yellow thing? I'm trying to remember.
In Andromeda, it's like
I just replayed it a couple months ago, so I should.
Like in space, they've got that like yellow energy sort of thing that's in space.
The Scourge.
The Scourge. Apparently, that was meant to be in the original trilogy as one of the enemies.
Really?
Apparently, that's what I seen on a YouTube video.
Well, if that Scourge, like if that would actually, I would not be upset if that kind of. For whatever reason, if that somehow got, I mean, because there were definitely aspects of the story that I really, really enjoyed. I thought the Scourge was very interesting because it predated everything that was there, and you never really find out what it is.
Nope.
And so like that would honestly, like if somehow, I don't know, if somebody came back another 600 years later. So I mean, that granted, we're talking like now to what 1,200 years after Shepard. Which
like
I mean,
you got a better memory than me.
Liara would be on her deathbed.
Should be gone.
But I mean, if they, or maybe they figured out how to do like build a mass relay and send them back, because they didn't use they said in the Mass Effect Andromeda that they didn't use a relay to travel, which made it longer to travel. And so I mean, maybe they find a quicker way to come back or to communicate or something like that.
They're definitely hinting at that in the trailer, aren't they? And then just with what people have been, some of the executives, people working on the game, developers and BioWare have been saying, they're definitely hinting at some sort of like connectivity between the two galaxies. So like you said, I mean, it's a long time. The difference is a long time. So, they probably had a long time to try and figure out a way to get back.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if they do go with like with what we were initially kind of, guessing it, like with kind of Liara, like maybe 600 years post, maybe the writers contact Liara from Andromeda, and then maybe there's that kind of connection where, because Liara would still be alive at that point, so that could be a connection as far as, because again, I think you guys mentioned this last week, like we never got the missing arc, the Quarian arc for the DLC. I think was because I was so excited for that.
I wanted to know what happened.
At the end of the game, I was like, the Quarians, and then I was just like, oh.
Yeah, they dropped that little teaser, didn't they? They were like, we've got the beacon or whatever. We think we found them. Nothing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I wanted to find out as well. I was really interested to figure out the mystery of who murdered the person who was... I can't remember names.
Jyn Erso.
Yeah, who ran Andromeda. No,
Jyn Erso is Star Wars. I'm sorry.
I thought so when you said it, but
no, it starts with a J though. It's Jean. No, why am I blanking? I can't remember.
I can't remember the name.
Names. It's like, sorry. I just completely.
Are you on the Nexus at that point or whatever? But you're obviously trying to figure out who's murdered her.
Why is? Yeah, I can't remember. Jean Garson. That's why. Okay, it is close. Jean Garson.
Yeah.
So it's similar.
So that was an interesting storyline. And then also you had, for me anyway, that interested me, they had the mysterious figure who funded it all.
Yeah.
Well, and then did you ever run into those two people that were Cerberus?
What? There was Cerberus
I
people
don't
there.
remember that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so on what's the outlaw planet? I can't remember what
Oh
it's
mate,
called.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played the game.
But you know what I'm talking about, like with all the acidic water and stuff. And
Yeah.
so there's a miss shot. If you again, I'm a completionist gamer, and so I went around and did everything. But there's a quest where these people are like they're just kind of losing their minds, and there's these two ex-Cerberus people that are doing like these mind control type, like very similar to like Reaper type
Right.
stuff with these people. And so you have like the option, you can shut it down. I actually was a jerk and I turned the signal on the people who were operating it. And I was like, serves you right.
Karma.
Yeah, it's like karma. Yeah, basically. But
what do you two, just quickly, what do you two think about the like how do we think they're going to handle the Reapers in this one, in the new game? I mean, they're clearly not all gone, are they? I don't think. I think that's pretty obvious.
I don't want them to come back as a
I don't
major
think they'll be in it
threat.
at all. I think
there will be like I think a plausible if they want to include the Reapers, I think a plausible way to include it would be like a black market type Reaper tech is like not allowed to be used, but then there's people who are using it type thing to where there's not to where like it's kind of like a dark web black market type of I mean, again, Liara's the shadow broker, so I mean maybe it's something. Maybe they incorporate that shadow broker aspect of Liara in with this new, like with the fact that there's all these defunct Reapers. I mean, yeah, they got destroyed, but all that tech is still like, I mean, there's all those Reaper bodies scattered all across. Yeah. I mean, there's all that tech still there across these major population centers. Like, I mean, every major world was being attacked at the same time. And so, I mean, leftover Cerberus remnants could be finding stuff, or I mean, who knows? I mean, any type of these people from Omega, or I mean, any type of pirates could be. I mean, so, but I also think maybe bringing in some of the species that we don't see as much, like Batarians. Because I thought that was a really interesting plot line in the third Mass Effect. If you're not paying attention, you kind of miss it, but well, not really. But just as far as like how their planet basically got ravaged, not even by the Reapers, but by the fact that the Alliance blew up the relay that was in their home system. So I just like, as far as I'm curious how like maybe some of that stuff, I'm really hoping they kind of take some of those smaller details and keep. There's just so much they can do with that universe, you know? Yeah,
there really is. But to be honest, I liked your thought process really behind it. I'd rather have Reaper tech. It's like the black markets. You do come across them and they're still in the universe somehow, but they're not the major threat. I don't want another Star Wars thing. Yeah, you defeated him in the original trilogy. Well, guess what now? Oh, he's back. Oh yeah, Palp's back.
You could just imagine, can't you? The first half an hour of the game, everything's going well, and then you just hear the.
Yeah, but honestly, mate,
like just comes.
It would be
Harbinger transferred his essence.
You just hear that noise, and it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, but it would be again though. It'd be like I've played it. And then you're telling me that, and then I'll think, wow, Shepard did all that for nothing then.
For nothing.
No, that would really,
yeah, you're right, actually.
I would be a little disappointed. And said to what because you're talking about that sound that we hear in the trailer, right?
Yeah, just the Reaper sound, yeah.
I think, because I think once the human voice starts talking, I'm pretty sure what they're doing is they're recounting human history, because they actually start. Yeah. And so I think like that whole Reaper thing, like that's basically saying like, hey, everything with Shepard happened in the past. Like this is something that is history.
Mm-hmm. And so like they do the kind of Reaper voice, and then after that they have someone going like, is there no contact with anyone, don't they, sort of thing. So like basically that's the part where the RAS relays have because they're trying to contact them, there's just no response. So it's like, oh yeah, that's obviously just after, Well,
and that's kind of why I was thinking, well, maybe if that's kind of because they kind of switched from past to present, like the tense or whatever in the trailer, and so that's why I was kind of, well, maybe we'll get like a post Shepard, but not so post that the galaxy's completely recovered. So
yeah, I'm easy with that.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is
exciting.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think again, I enjoyed Andromeda, but I don't think they ever should have gone to Andromeda. I think they should have, because the cultures that they created, you could do a whole game with, literally just on Thessia or just on the Turian homeworld. Like, you could do, there's just so much there. There's so many stories that you could tell. I think it's as expansive, maybe not quite as expansive, but pretty, I would say I would compare it like you can tell as many stories in the Mass Effect galaxy as you could the Star Wars galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just that much. It's just that big.
Well, it's similar to Mando in a way. Look at what Mando's managed to do. They've managed to take a lot of obscure things from Star Wars, if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll pick up on it, and put it into The Mandalorian and give them prominent roles, or even just a little bit of background roles, but you're like, okay, yeah, there's a story there. And they could definitely do that with the Mass Effect universe.
Absolutely.
It's about galaxies now. So, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Just quickly taking it back. So when we were talking about the mysterious benefactor, you mentioned the Cyrus people, were you referring to it being then, what the hell? I can't remember his name.
Elusive Man.
There you go.
I thought it might be because of the Cerberus people that were there, and so I thought, oh hey, that's because in the first game, if you remember, the Cerberus was just briefly mentioned, and it was just like a side note, and then all of a sudden it's like the dominating force in 2, like you're part of Cerberus in 2, and then it's the secondary enemy in 3, and so it's like, so I was like, well, maybe they're doing that again. Maybe hey, here's a little bit of Cerberus. Hey, here's and because I was just kind of thinking, like, who in the galaxy that's human would want to back I guess it's not necessarily human, but like what benefactor would want to, and again, the Elusive Man showed a lot of, for all of his faults and the terrible person that he showed a lot of, the character showed a lot of forward thinking and trying to prepare. And so maybe that's hey, this is a way to save the species of the Milky Way. And then maybe once we get to that galaxy, I can slowly, whoever's there, that's his representative, can slowly take charge of the initiative. I don't know, but that's just a theory I had. But
yeah, I must admit, when I was first playing it, and obviously I saw Mysterious Benefactor, and I was like, that's probably the Elusive Man. If I'm going, if I'm just going to think logically about it. But I would like it to be a new character. And something that maybe gets fleshed out in the new games.
Or maybe even, because at that point, Liara wasn't the Shadow Broker, to where it could have been the Shadow Broker or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, it was just a side quest that really interested me at the time, and we never got to get to the bottom of it.
To find out. It's
it's always the most annoying. But anyway, that's probably a good place to leave it, guys. So thanks for joining us, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
It was a good chat, mate.
Good chat.
It was a good chat. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anywhere on socials that you'd like people to go and check you out? Or
no, not right now. I'm working on getting a YouTube channel up, but that's still in the works. But as of right now, I'm just on Facebook. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to social media.
Okay, then, no worries. But definitely check out Chris's YouTube channel whenever that comes out. We'll give it a plug anyway whenever it does.
Yeah,
so,
all right, thanks, man.
Keep your eyes peeled for that. But if you are watching the podcast on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts on the topics we covered today. And if you're watching us on Twitch, give us a follow. If you're watching us on Facebook, like the page, as we really appreciate that, and that'll help our podcast to grow. If you're listening to us on any audio platforms as well, please pass on the pod and leave a nice review if you would like to. You can follow the podcast on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ChetReachPod, and you can join our newly created Discord. All links will be in the description below on any platform, I believe, so look out for them. And you can follow me and Sud on social media. Where can people find you, mate?
So for me, it's just on Twitter at David10spud.
Lovely stuff. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Leld, LEL3Ds at 9M for Instagram. Anyway, thanks for joining me again, Chris. We hope you have a good week. Oh, and by the time this goes out, we should say, to everyone, Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, and whatever you're celebrating, and we'll be back probably just before the new year. I'm not sure how it works out. Probably just before the new year.
I think so. We're not 100% yet, are we? But
yeah, we'll check our schedule.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll let you all know.
But we are streaming on Monday. But by the time this goes out, that was yesterday, probably. So...
Yeah. So you'll have already seen it, or if you haven't, check us out.
Yeah, if you haven't, check us out on Twitch. We appreciate that. But anyway, have a good week, guys. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.